thanks for watching. Today we're trying to fix a pool pump. This is the Pentair SuperFlo VS. A couple different model numbers on this one. This one's 342001. This pump was put in 2018. So right now this is only about 5 years old. And the pump was working good. It's a 2-speed pump. You can control it. It's got the panel up here on top. A lot of you probably already know that because you're probably trying to fix yours. And everything was working fine, and then just one day it stopped working. And after checking into a couple things, I shut the power off, took out the 4 screws here on the top, and what I found was that there was this burn mark that had come through one of the holes here, and so it had gotten, I think, overheated. Something inside of here burned up. So I was going to replace, just sort of the internal components here, but what I found is that it's almost the same price to just replace the entire top of this unit, the whole control and the keypad and everything. For me, it was less than $100 difference, so I figured I would just go ahead and replace the set. If you try to get these at your local pool store, this was going to be about $850 at mine. I was able to find it online for about $550, so I'll try to drop a link in there for you of some places you might be able to find it, but it should be a pretty easy swap out. And so here's our part we're going to install. We're going to install the drive and the cover kit. Like I said, to get these separate was significantly more expensive. The drive itself, I think, was around 400 bucks online. The drive and the cover was around 500 bucks online. So I just went ahead and bought the whole set. At my local pool store, this set was going to be $850. So significantly more expensive locally. And so I went ahead and bought this one online. So I've got the power shut off. I turned off the breaker. I also turned off, there is a timer on this one that's not really used anymore. And just remember, as you turn the power off on these, you do need to let it sit for 5 minutes. That's what it says in the instructions. And so we're going to turn the power off, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then we'll get this part back on here. And then I also took my meter and tested for power. You can't always trust the cover kit here, because the cover on these, it has the little symbol there for whether or not this has power. Mine had power, and that was off because of the problems that it was having in the drive. And so don't just trust there. Actually take your meter and test, make sure your power is off and that you're safe to get started. And so many of you have been told that the SuperFlo variable speed pump, it's going to save you a bunch of money. May or may not be true in the long run, especially with the drive costing $500. And if you look at a lot of the reviews online, a lot of people are replacing these drives in the first couple years. So if you're replacing a $500 drive every couple of years, you're definitely not saving enough on energy to make this pump make sense. So hopefully they will eventually upgrade the drives on these, make them a little more reliable so that these last a little longer. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this drive. As you can see, I've already unplugged. You got one plug here going into the drive itself. I also had a plug here, which was this one right here on the back of the cover. And so I unplugged those. If you look at the side of them, you simply just push in right here. You're going to run a little screwdriver along the side after you've already turned off the power and everything. And then you can unplug that. You can unplug this one. And now we're ready to take this assembly off. I'm also going to have to pull my power wire out of the side here and then go ahead and put that into the new one as well. One thing to note on these, if you are working on it, just know that these pumps can be hooked up on 240 or 120, and they'll work on either one of them. So you got to know your wiring, how it's hooked up and everything like that as you're starting to work on this, as you're testing for power and those kind of things. All right, so if you look here, there are a couple of mounting screws, And I'm gonna get down here underneath. We got a mounting screw right here. We've got 2 mounting screws here. And then we've got 1 mounting screw on the back side. You can see it up underneath there. So we're gonna remove those mounting screws and then go ahead and pull off the cover kit, which includes the drive. This is called the drive right here. So we're replacing all of that today. I'm gonna go ahead and remove these screws. Removing with the impact. I wouldn't reinstall with the impact necessarily, especially to tighten them up. And if you're putting one of these back together, notice the side screws are small. These screws that were through the top here are the long ones. And that loosens it up, as you can see there. You're gonna have to run this out. There's plenty of space here. So we're just gonna kind of squeeze that through. That comes straight up through the top. Okay, then all we have to do is unhook it from the power. Our power's already off, and I've already unhooked the connections there, so I just gotta go ahead and pull it out of the conduit. Ground, which is still connected. So yeah, just a little bit about, kind of the crazy price increases on these things. I bought this entire pump assembly in 2018 for $650, maybe just a little bit more than that, less than 700 bucks. I went back in and I was at first just going to replace possibly the whole pump because I saw how much just these drives cost, and the entire pump now is over $1,200, something like 1,400 bucks. So yeah, that's some serious inflation. Same pump, and more than double the price in 5 years. So there's going to be a lot of people fixing these. Of course, at the pool pump, at the pool store, they tell you just to replace it, but I'm not replacing a $1,200 pump every 5 years, and so we're going to fix it. All right, so I got the wires out, then I've got this 90-degree fitting on the side I've got to get out, and then we'll be ready to put our new one back on. Got a little rain coming in here. So we open up the drive and cover kit. Got some instructions here. Included in the kit. Tell you how to take this stuff apart, how to put it back together. All right, so at this point we've got the new assembly here, the drive and the cover. I removed the 4 screws, 4 corners, so that I can take this off. We're ready to go. I also installed our 90 here, and I'm gonna go ahead and run the power through there. But this is ready to go on. So at this point it's pretty simple. Took a little rain break here. They have the smaller wire already hooked up on the inside here. You wouldn't have had to remove that, I guess, in the first place if you just left it hanging. I had it removed because I had this cover off when I was troubleshooting it. And we got to run the 1 wire up through here. And then it sits on the post, just like that. Lift up this cover, hook this one back up. And like I said, I'm just leaving that small one attached, and I'm just holding on to this. And then I'm gonna run my power through. All right, so now we're getting ready to reinstall. Just gonna do these new screws by hand instead of using the driver. All right, so we got the new drive, new cover, everything all installed here, wiring's hooked up. We're gonna go turn back on the power and see if it works. And the power is now back on. And if you remember, this was completely dead. The drive was not working any longer. Looked like it had burned up on the inside. We had some heat markings on there. And so we replaced the drive and cover, the display assembly as well. And now we've got power back shown on here. Before we had power, but it just didn't show no lights, nothing on the keypad here. And so we're gonna go ahead and test it out. Go back in action. Well, luckily we got this one fixed now. Pool's working again, and although that $550 price tag is steep on this one, the good thing is we were replacing the drive because the drive was bad, but we still have the cover. The cover's resale for 150, 200 bucks. So we're gonna throw this one on and sell this one probably on eBay, and got our pool working again. Thanks for watching. Shut the power off. Check into a couple things here. Come on, get out of the way.